we're going to talk a little bit about some of the other applications that we've used with our tile boards. This one is a lace doily. It's pretty easy to pour, but it has to be stiff. So this one we stiffened it with fabric stiffener, and then we Mod Podged over it so it was completely glued down flat. And we covered the paper clear to the edge with Mod Podge, so it's totally sealed. If you don't do that, you get a lot of bubbles that keep coming up from underneath the doily. So this is a great way to preserve some really nice doilies. I would practice on one that's not really valuable, though, to make sure that you know how you're doing it. And they're fun to embellish with lots of other, buttons or with other things. Calendars make a great resource for tile boards. These are fun pictures. It's a great idea to do with a calendar. You get lots of choices of pictures. This one, this one does not have any border paper, so you can actually cut these pictures and put them up into your borders so that it covers the whole board. And so that makes a really fun picture. It's also fun to use one of our 9 square boards on a calendar and then place it, and you can see how that could cut up really fun. You need to be careful that whether you're doing people or whether you're doing an animal, you don't want the face to be right in the middle of one of your cuts, but you can kind of adjust that around. So think about calendars. You can buy one calendar and come up with 12 really fun boards. You can see here this one is, we've covered the whole board with scrapbook paper and then a picture, and then this is a middle plate that we have, and then these little middle flowers. And they're just glued on. This is actually screwed on. And then I just pour the Enviro-Tex over top of that. So it gives it a great finish and a fun look. We actually sprayed both of these with our glossy wood tone to give it a different look. This is probably one of our best-selling boards. This one with the 3 Christmas prints has been such a fun one to do. Every family needs one of these. And then just remember, when you do the paper on the sides, it's always going to turn 2 or 3 shades darker after you pour it. So you're going to want to pick a color that is just a little bit lighter than what you're trying to match in your picture. And so you can see it's really a fun one. This is a great one to also put family pictures on or cards. We've done a lot of fun things on these. Wedding invitations is a great way to use one of the boards. This is a great wedding gift to take. This is, again, the basil paper. This is the shiny one. It gives it a great look, and most invitations fit right in the center of that board. These are kind of a fun application as well. Both of these 2 boards have been painted. The papers have been placed on them, and then I poured the outside edges, and I poured it in across the grooves, but I didn't pour the whole centers. I only poured it in so that it was in about a 1/2 inch all the way around it. And then after it was set up to where it was kind of sticky, then I placed the metal into the Enviro-Tex. When you do that, if the Enviro-Tex comes up over the edge and you don't want that on your metal, you don't want that to show, a Q-tip with alcohol on it will clean that right up if you do it immediately. After it sets up, you don't want to do it, but right at first you can clean all that off. So these are both great ideas for magnet boards. The other thing we found that's kind of fun to do is magnets. We have these big glass drops that make great magnets. So I covered them with the photo, and we found that if you print your own picture on white cardstock, then they print really clear and they stick on really well with Mod Podge. A real photo on the glass drops doesn't seem to dry very fast. It just kind of is stiff. But the cardstock works really well, and that's kind of an inexpensive way to print them. So you can put either the glossy or the matte wood Mod Podge on them. And then I poured them with the Enviro-Tex. So when you're pouring like a board like this, you usually have just a little bit left. So it's kind of fun to find just some little projects you can have sitting here that you can pour it on. I actually glued the magnet on first so that when I went to pour it, I just sat them on paint bottles and poured them so it could drip okay, and it set it up high enough that you can scrape the drips off. as the stuff drips and then it dries, it leaves big icicles dripping down. So you need to be sure you clean it off. And so I just go back with my little stick and just scrape the backs off as it dries off. So these are kind of a fun way, and they are forever. They'll never come off. You can't peel that off. So it's a great way to make a fun magnet board for someone. Okay, let me talk for a minute about the Enviro-Tex itself. We have all these different sizes of sets, and we talked about that you can get 4 of this size out of this box, or 2 of these come out of this size box. So that gives you an idea of about what you would need to purchase. It'll keep for a while. Obviously, the bigger the bottle, the better the value.